We had our people running around in ATVs, assuring people everything was fine. And so it worked out fine. And we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish here. And it was a pretty successful event. I would like to comment a little bit further on some of the comments that Jim has made about the job we've done.
Can you explain why you do a burn?
Pardon me?
Can you explain why you do a burn?
Well, there's a number of reasons to do a burn. One is to just get rid of a lot of material that you want to de-emphasize. Another is to allow the native plants to reestablish themselves, because the native plants have the ability to resist the damages of a burn, whereas the non-native plant often dies, or if it doesn't die, it at least gets set back. So we did this burn knowing that we probably weren't going to kill a lot of cattails, but we were trying to set things back a little bit. And that was the goal of this burn. There are other burns we do. We are totally confident that we will eradicate a lot of invasive plants. This burn wasn't that kind of burn. It's a little complicated, but basically those were two kinds of burns. Back in the beginning, when we started this project, Larry and I and the rest of our team were totally overwhelmed. We basically underestimated the amount of work we had to do. We underestimated how far the buckthorn went into the water. We didn't realize how many of, there's two kinds of buckthorn, European buckthorn and shiny buckthorn?
Smooth buckthorn.
Pardon me? Smooth buckthorn. The smooth buckthorn go out into the water. We didn't know that they went out as far as they did, but some of them went out like a foot of water depth. And so we had way more than we thought. And this job was an overwhelming job for us in the beginning, but we whacked away at it. We got it done. And I'm a member of the Highland Lake Property Owners Association board, and and when I go to those meetings, and people say, "I didn't know there was a lake over there." And they go along Hainesville, "There's a lake over there."
I have residents that have lived here 15 years and said
They never knew there was a lake over here. Now the old timers, the old timers, Gary, I don't mean to be the old timers. You knew there was a lake over here, but a lot of people didn't. It's a beautiful lake. It's a shallow lake. It's a aging lake. It's not aging very much because of the cattails and the other things around it. Aging means that it's filling in, and this lake is really not. It's sort of stabilized. But it's not a very deep lake. It's not a lake we can do much with. We've tried a little bit, but we're sort of like frustrated by doing anything more than we've done already. The real opportunities with this lake are on the land surrounding it. And these are perfect photographs that show where we've gone with this. And chipping up the buckthorn and putting them on the path, as you said, Jim, it was kind of a logical thing to do for us, but it was something that maybe you guys didn't consider. But it was a great thing to do. And the biggest problem is right now is we can't find enough wood chips. I can get them, but they cost money. And people will bring them out here, and that costs money, and we don't have the money for that right now. But we're going to try to augment that.
We'll sell them our buckthorn.
Right?
We'll sell them our buckthorn.
Yeah, good luck on that one. We're real happy with the way this has gone. We're in a 5-year plan on the lake, and I think we're in the 4th year of it. Is that correct, Linda? I think Joe George. Yeah. And we're winding it down. The big thing right now is we walk around. We do what's called stewardship. And there's a picture of one of our guys walking along the path. We walk along and we look for invasive plants that we can herbicide. Now, the herbicides we use, there's like 4 different categories of herbicides, or maybe 5. We use the lowest level of toxicity in terms of threats to people or animals. And yet we apply them in a way where they work effectively. And so we use what's called a hockey stick, which is like a tube with a fiber on the end of it, and we whack away at those things that way, or we use other very topical techniques. But we're trying to minimize the amount of collateral damage. And we are eliminating the buckthorn, the honeysuckle, the couple of other plants in there that are probably not quite as bad, like sandbar willow and wild grapevine. Those are our biggest enemies. And then along the herbaceous level, we have thistle, and Jim, you talked about thistle, and we were mowing it earlier. Before we mowed it, Linda, you commented on it, we herbicided the thistle. You can mow things down. You guys know about this in your lawn. You can mow things down like dandelions. It doesn't do any good. They just come back. The combination of mowing and herbiciding is probably a better technique, and that's what we're trying to use. So we're working very hard at making this a beautiful community, a more beautiful community. We think we've got a lot of things going in your favor, and the bottom line on this is we're trying to increase the value of the homes and the reason for living here and everything else, and we're doing our little part. So between Larry and me and the rest of our team, we're whacking away at it.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And again, just through the process, just by recognizing the problem, we began to work on it, and boy, we really got some great help from George and Georgianne, from Gary, Miss Lark, who jumped right in there.
Yeah.
And also Doug and Ann, and Tam Ganender. And we've got some pretty good pictures. I remember one time I called standing on Hainesville Road with that stuff all gone behind us. And so it really began a process of truly, no pun intended, grassroots effort, and then really became involved in the festival. And I felt sorry for Jeff on our first Make a Difference Day, because we did have not only our neighbors, but we had community service people that came and helped out. In fact, one of those guys was just a genius with a chainsaw. And we had
That might have been Dave.
and we had an elder woman as a community service person. I didn't ask her, I didn't want to know why. And this elder actually bent one of the tines on her pitchfork.
Oh, really?
I don't know how she did that either, but she did. But anyhow, I want to thank you for your attention and just showing what's really has happened over a short period of time. And I think, well, just as a closing comment, history's got a way of marching on, and pictures really do speak 1,000 words, and over time we sometimes lose our perspective of our achievements, and it comes as a surprise sometimes even to us that what beautiful things can come from our working together. And the Anishinaabe Native Americans call this a sacred journey, not the lush, and that means walking together. Without doing that walking together, we couldn't have accomplished this. So that's a buckthorn story to date, but to be continued.
Part to come. Jim, thank you so much for the excellent talk.
I just want to add a couple of things. Ken Click, who's a senior ecologist at the Lake County Forest Preserve, was a big help as an advisor on a lot of this project. And for those of you that don't realize this, Cranberry Lake is the purest lake in Lake County. And it is the source of all of the chain of lakes. The water that starts here goes from here to Highland Lake, to Long Lake, eventually to Fox Lake, to Fox River, to the Mississippi, and out to the Gulf. All that starts here. So it really behooves us to take good care of it.
I say we dam it off and sell it. Ain't something over.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, Georgianne, just a comment. I wanted to thank Mayor Mueller for starting off with us the process, and then Mayor Soto continuing it village-wide. I thought, because we've had so many storms, and we've lost a lot of good old oak trees, and especially up and down Hainesville Road. When you get to the next 5-year planning, is there a thought of starting to plant seedlings, new oak trees to replace the ones we're losing?
Well, actually, nature's doing a very good job, especially now that the buckthorn has been cleared. It allows the things that have been dormant because they didn't have space to grow, to start to grow. I know I have a number of little oaks in my backyard. Now, along Hainesville Road is a different type of area. It's not the woodlands, it's more of a savanna.
Yeah.
Do I sound like an I've learned all this.
I'm very impressed.
I've learned all this as being part of this project. I really didn't know anything until George and I undertook this. But, so different things grow in different places, so you're not going to see as many oaks along Hainesville Road. But if you walk the path, you can see little seedlings all around, and there'll be more and more as it stays clear.
We planted 50 oak.
Oh, that's true, we did plant
Yeah.
about 50 swamp oak in the Hainesville Meadow,
Wow.
which is right over here.
Nice.
And they're just little bitty things, and they're back against the west end of the meadow. But
Beautiful. Okay.
you'll see them, and there are a lot of young ones that are just naturally on the north end of the meadow.
So we have to stay healthy and live long.
Yeah, that's right, just have to stay up long enough to see it all.
Any other comments or questions?
Have you ever thought about pin oaks, which they're a very prevalent tree in Iowa. They grow real fast and they provide great cover, and they have a tendency to hang on to their leaves for people that would want to landscape their yards. I know I have 2 pin oaks growing in my backyard right now, and usually within 5 years they're 30 feet tall.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you have any comment on that, David?
My brother-in-law's got a whole field of them. And
Wow.
What kind of tree is it called?
he calls it a pin oak.
Oh, pin oak, yeah. Well, pin oak is a native tree to this area. We specialize in planting native plants, whether they're trees or understory trees or shrubs or herbaceous plants. That's what we specialize in. A pin oak is a beautiful tree. It's a not particularly fast-growing tree. But it's a. Larry, help me out with this. It'll grow in wet areas. Pin oak, won't it?
It does like wet areas, but it also favors really high acid soils.
Okay.
And
Okay, when Iowa farmland with their topsoil, would that be more acidic than what we have here for pH or?
if Iowa has pin oaks, one lookalike that we have here is called the Hills Oak.
Hills oak, yeah.
Okay, because my brother-in-law's got like 50 acres of them, and he has, the acorns fall, they hit the ground, the squirrels run with them, and then he spends half his time mowing these saplings over, so I grabbed a handful, planted them last fall, and I got one in my backyard that's tall that year.
I totally agree with your recommendation because they grow low.
Yep.
And the fact that they keep their leaves in winter is great.
Yeah.
You know, want that.
They're a great tree. They're a nice hardwood tree. They're in this area. There's about 7 or 8 oak trees that are native to this area. Hills oak, pin oak,
Okay.
2 of them.
Just a thought.
We're trying to plant trees in Hainesville that are going to be successful in Hainesville. And you've got a couple of areas, like around Cranberry Lake, you've got some high land, and what you need to do is look at the mature trees. And the mature trees will give you an indication of what needs to be planted to perpetuate that type of tree. You go to another area, there'll be no, like over by Cranberry Lake, you'll see a lot of red oak and bur oak and white oak. You go further to the east, you won't see any because it gets lower. And so you've got to sort of take a hint from nature and then use that to plant what should be planted. You can force the issue a little bit, but generally you don't like to force it. You like to put in stuff that is supposed to be there.